one of the things that that I really needed for me is the intricate details from the very beginning that I love that you touch on, in just about him starting and how what was it, Cuzzy Capone or Copy Capone?
Copy Supreme, Cuzzy Capone.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I loved how you were being able to tell that story on how he got started and how he was able to connect with DB, which is Dexter Browm, from the very beginning. How did you get those stories? How did you find that information out?
It's interesting that you mentioned and focus on that part of the book, because that's, they say like half the story has never been told. That part of Nip's life has been completely left out of most of the stories that have been told about him. And really, the reason I wrote the book is because I didn't feel his life had ever properly been, written about, because he was an artist who was very independent, as you know, and he didn't sign to a major label till very late in his career. And so I feel like the rap media kind of slept on him. And, when I was at Vibe magazine, he came up to Vibe very late in Vibe's run. Like 2009 was when I first met him, and he got his one page in Vibe, which was his goal, but we never got a chance to really write the in-depth stories like we would an important artist of his stature. So that part of Nip's life, to answer your question, it actually came to me. I had never heard of Dexter Browm. And when it was announced that I was working on a biography, a mutual friend of his reached out to me and said, there's someone that you really need to talk to, who was integral in Nip's early life. And so I got in touch with Dexter that way. And, he opened up so much knowledge. And, in the same way that he schooled Nip to a lot of aspects of the game, he schooled me to a lot of aspects of Nip's life and career. People like Cuzzy I was aware of because he's on the records. And so I reached out to Cuzzy. This whole book was done not through like industry channels or, management and publicists and people like that. This was just me reaching out to people and doing my job as a journalist and paying attention to the music, listening to the interviews. And I got, as I mentioned, I met Nip early in his career. And then I also had a chance to interview him in depth around Victory Lap. But, I had to do my job as a journalist. I'm not from South LA. I was born in California, but most of my life I've been in New York. But I was able to reach out to people and just approach them out of respect. And, I was covering their story because I thought that they would want to tell their story properly. And, I was very honored by all the people that trusted me enough to, to speak for this book and tell their personal stories. And, I continue to follow these artists because I think they're all important artists. People like Cuzzy, Jay Stone, Cobby, Killa Twan, Pacman, BH. There was a lot of great talents that Nip had identified and brought around him. And I'm quite sure if he was still here, he'd be pushing their projects hard. He was very loyal to these artists. And so, I think each of them carries a little piece of that inspiration with them. And I've continued to support their work and pay attention to their movement because, the marathon really doesn't stop. And, everybody that had a chance to work closely with him, I think they feel a responsibility to carry the mission forward. It's more than music. It's like a mission of self-empowerment and upliftment of your inner circle, but your whole community too. And that's what Hussle stood for. And I think the people that work with him closely have that same ethic.
Yeah, I agree. I reached out to Killa Twan early on, still trying to get him on, the show. But I think Killa Twan is nice as far as his ability. I think he's nice.
And he's actually one of the very first close, like, of the artists that, you know, Nip works with. Like, as you know from reading the book, like, him and Twan knew each other from very early school days before they even were aware that each other were doing music. And yeah, he told me the story that, like, when he started hearing this guy Nipsey Hussle, you know, hearing about him, he didn't realize at first that that was Ermias, the guy that he went to school with, you know, or knew from you know, when he was going to school in that neighborhood. So you know, Twan and Nip go way back, and he's got some great music coming out right now. He's in the middle of dropping a lot of projects, so, you know, stay on it. I wouldn't be surprised if he, you know, he's got some music to promote, so I'm sure he wouldn't mind, you know, talking about that, you know.
Okay, yeah, I'm definitely gonna tap in with Twan.
Thank you for tapping in with us. In order to see more clips like this, check out this video here or check out this one here.